You've never been in the grain elevators, Arnell?
No.
Oh, are you ready for an adventure? Yeah, I'm Russ Tremaine with Twin Falls Preservation, Twin Falls. We're here at the Twin Falls grain elevator to take a little tour inside and out. This was the largest flour mill in the western United States between Portland and Denver in 1916. It was built, Mr. Breckenridge started the grain elevator here. It operated through most of the 20th century. Of course, now it's the flour mill is no longer here, but the remnants of the flour mill, that is the grain elevator, the warehouse, which is the restaurant now, the brick house. This is an interesting historical preservation project because the grain elevators have very little use, but they're a sign of southern Idaho history, of western history in the early 20th century, where grain elevators, flour mills were part of the landscape and a central part of the economy. Right here where we are with the railroad, the flour mill, the Swift Company, a gigantic corporation dealing with chickens and eggs. Across the road was the grocery store that became the Jim State Paper Company. And so these large structures indicate the optimism and the dynamic economy of early Twin Falls. This is a precarious walk, Arnell, be careful. This is what's called the head house. Yeah, well, you want to check out the old equipment in here, and there's an elevator that they used, like a one-man elevator, where they would hoist things up and down. Needless to say, the logistics are difficult here, being almost 100 feet high. And we'll go up this spiral staircase, but you might want to look around in here at some of the goods, some of the machinery, the mechanisms that operated the elevator. Of course, when we got the property, all of the windows here, the glass has been broken out, the electricity was removed, since been replaced for the cell towers that are on top. Now this first ladder is the precarious part, and then after that it's a little spiral staircase. So.
All right. So do you know what this used to be, Russ?
Was this a scale here?
What's the scale?
Yeah.
And then what about this thing over here? You know what this is?
Well, that's the gear. You know, that's what they did, was to run these little. Let's see. They used to have the little chutes here. You can see that they would run the grain up.
Oh, so this would kind of bring the grain up and down or something?
Yeah. It's an elevator. That's what they do, is lift the grain up into the silos. We'll see when we get to the top.
All right, let's go.
Yeah. And then the train tracks would go right through here, and they could dump the grain into the train track, or offload the grain, and ship the flour out.
Oh, there's some climbing in here.
Oh, yes, indeed. This is a climb. Okay, we're just going to come up to here. See, this is essentially still the tallest building in the area. We can get to the top and have a really remarkable view.
To one of the silos right now, right?
No, so we're here in what's called the head house that goes all the way up, and you see the silos themselves are here.
Oh, okay.
So this is where they had, as we go up, you'll see there's some space to operate for workers. Here's an example of the sort of the workspace, if you will, Arnell. So you can kind of see the little space here. Yeah, so this is, again, when you're outside, you can see this is a structure that's attached to the grain elevators themselves, or the silos, excuse me. It's a big debate about the name. So the farmers, the rural folks call it a grain elevator. Us locals call it the silos.
Oh, yeah. Jeez, how high does this sucker go?
Well, it's I think 88 feet officially, but yeah, it's been cleaned up pretty nicely. But yeah, so you see the shaft and these little chutes coming here and there, running the product. So pretty incredible. When my friend Tom Gilbertson came, he's a photographer, and he came, took pictures because they were going to tear it down.
Yeah.
So when I got involved in this, it was to tear down the grain elevators, and my colleague and I with Preservation Twin Falls thought that would be criminal of sorts, because this is such a central structure to this warehouse district. It's what we'd call in the preservation business a contributing building to the nature of this historic district. And there's a big debate. It's owned by Urban Renewal. The previous owners turned it over to Urban Renewal. They didn't know what to do with it. And in the end, they sold it to Preservation Twin Falls for $10 with an agreement that we would clean up the property, build this little pocket park that's down there, and beautify it. The landscape and the signs that we showed you out front. We've been working on it for almost 2 decades.
You know, I thought this would be one giant room somewhere. Like one just giant.
Yeah, so it is when you just look at it outside, and then you come inside and you see a little more complex structure. You can see we've actually made 2 attempts to keep the pigeons, and originally we put wire on the outside, and now come back and put some wire on the inside. And in the perfect world, in the long run, we would really like to replace the glass somehow so that the windows would be in their original shape there. And remarkable to see 9 pieces of glass in that industrial building, and windows all the way up and down here. So just thinking an old man like me shouldn't be doing this, huh? I did tours a few years ago when we first got it, Arnell. It was 30-mile-an-hour wind, and we had 50, 70 people show to go up and down the grain elevators, and I think I made 8 trips with half a dozen people or so, and the next day I could hardly walk because of my poor physical condition. And here we made it to the top, to the chute room. This door we could get to open would open out. And when we first started, we were thinking about how to use the grain elevators. There had to be some kind of use. Of course, I argued that it didn't need to have use. It needed to be saved for history, as sort of an agricultural icon, if you will, a landmark. But some people were thinking of out this door, they would set up a bungee jump. And of course, it's been long considered as a rock climbing facility. And here's the little piece I wanted you to take a picture of that shows the origins of this very interesting spiral staircase that goes all the way up. And you now have made the trip to the chute room. And so here's where, of course, Dave Woodhead drops his ball every year for New Year's out the end, and you can see these chutes that run down into these 6 silos that are gigantic. And each one of them would hold an enormous amount of grain, and it's unfortunate that we can't see down in there a little better, Arnell, because when I first started and would look down into these, I was just stunned at the vastness of each one. There's 6 of them. And then they would pile grain out on the ground in excess grain. But yeah, this is really nice. This was a mess from hell. And pigeons, and it smelled so bad you couldn't hardly be here. Now if we get down here, Arnell, with some light, enough to look into one of those. We also had a proposal, Arnell, to fill up these with water and have a deep diving training facility for scuba diving.
Yeah, I know.
Because there's no place where you can go that's deep enough to do deep water training. And so, but once they started, would the silos hold that water, and then you'd have to have an elevator. And Urban Renewal decided not to do that. But yeah, isn't it? That's pretty impressive. We do tours, your sister and I, of the warehouse district. You know, you've been with us for the residential district in the I misspoke down below, Arnell. This is the place where they were going to bungee jump from, right out this door. Do not come up here. Do not come in the grain elevators. Do not come up here. It's dangerous. The cell tower people are operating here, and you would be trespassing, and you'd get in big trouble. See, we thought we might one day, before we put up the cell tower, that we would make a restaurant up here where we could come up here and have drinks and dinner, and Mr. Sharan would take care of us. So, Arnell, I'm going to tell you, I haven't been up here for a long, long time. This was a project we started way back. Now, we did just put this roof and spent a whole bunch of money to put this roof on, and one, to get somebody to do it was complicated, and get the money to do it was a huge undertaking, and the county helped put up a little bit of money. The county uses the cell tower for CERCOM, and the old CERCOM cell tower was down on the Twin Falls Courthouse. Tragically, one of the most important buildings in southern Idaho, in the Pacific Northwest, with this rickety cell tower on there that was doing damage to the building. And we made an agreement to put the cell tower here, and they take it off there. And so this is helps fund some of Preservation Twin Falls operations, and provides quite a unique service to the community. But what would we do with the cell towers? Tear them down, save them for history, try to make them functional somehow, and after 20 years, this is what came about for the old grain elevator. But check this out, Arnell. What a spectacular view. We can see the smog, and look around. What's the tallest building around? You know, the sugar factory. Look at this, Arnell. Is this glorious? What a beautiful morning.